Here's something that's going to sound obvious, but stay with it. You've been taught how to calculate the area of a triangle. You've been taught the periodic table. You've probably memorized the dates of wars that ended before your grandparents were born. But nobody, not your school, not your parents, not any system you passed through, ever sat you down and explained how money actually works. Not how to make it, not how to keep it, not why it seems to disappear, no matter how much of it comes in. And here's the part that should make you a little angry. That wasn't an accident. Financial literacy isn't some advanced skill reserved for economists or Wall Street analysts. It's basic. It's the thing that quietly decides whether you can cover your rent at 40 without your stomach dropping, whether you retire with options or with anxiety, whether one unexpected expense erases everything you've spent years building. And yet, almost none of us were ever formally taught it. Think about the last time money stressed you out. Not a specific bill, just that low hum of financial pressure that sits in the background of an ordinary day. Most people carry that sound for decades without ever understanding where it comes from. This channel is the beginning of changing that. Not with shortcuts, not with a 5-step system that promises you'll be rich by Thursday, but with the actual mechanics, the way money flows, the way wealth is genuinely built, and the specific habits that separate the people who always feel a little ahead from the people who always feel a little behind. Let me start with a question that doesn't get asked nearly enough. Why wasn't this taught? The simplest honest answer is that schools were designed to produce reliable workers, not wealth builders. That isn't a conspiracy. It's just history. The modern education system was largely shaped during the industrial era, when the goal was to train people to show up on time, follow instructions, and trade their hours for a wage. Understanding how compound interest works, or how to read the difference between an asset and a liability, or how debt actually functions inside the economy, none of that was considered essential to that older purpose. And because it was never taught, it became invisible. We treat reading and writing as basic literacy, things every functioning adult is simply expected to have. But the literacy that decides whether your money lasts the month was quietly left off the list. Not because it's harder than algebra, because the system that shaped your schooling never had a strong reason to prioritize it. But here's what changed over the last 50 years. The financial world got dramatically more complex, while the training stayed almost exactly the same. Credit became easy and everywhere. Subscriptions multiplied until they were invisible. Investment accounts became available to anyone with a phone and 10 minutes. The decisions you're now expected to make with money at younger and younger ages carry more weight than anything previous generations faced. So we end up with a gap, a world that demands financial sophistication and millions of people who were simply never handed the tools to navigate it. That gap is what this channel exists to close. Now, let's talk about what you probably did absorb, because it matters more than you'd think. Most people pick up their financial beliefs the same way they pick up an accent. Slowly, unconsciously, from whoever happened to be around them. If money was tight growing up, you likely absorbed one of two responses. Either a scarcity mindset, where spending anything at all feels faintly dangerous, or the exact opposite, a spend-it-while-you-have-it reflex, because saving felt pointless when there was never enough to save. If money was comfortable, you may have quietly absorbed the belief that things just work out. That the financial anxiety other people describe is somehow a result of their own poor choices, rather than the system everyone is actually operating inside. Neither of those is a complete picture, and both of them shape your behavior long before you ever think about it consciously. Then there are the specific myths. That debt is always bad. That investing is only for people who are already rich. That you need to earn more before you're allowed to start saving. That a house is always the best investment. That a good salary automatically means financial security. Every one of those statements contains just enough truth to be convincing, and just enough error to quietly cost you for years. We're going to spend our time on this channel taking those myths apart and replacing them with how money actually behaves. So, if it isn't income and it isn't luck, what actually determines whether someone builds wealth? The research on this is remarkably consistent, and the answer is far less glamorous than most people want it to be. It comes down to three things. The first is the gap. Not the gap between rich and poor. The gap between what you earn and what you spend. That single space is the entire foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. Consider someone named Marcus. Marcus earns $40,000 a year and spends about $34,000. That $6,000 gap, put to work consistently, makes Marcus a wealth builder. Now consider someone earning $120,000 a year who spends $122,000. That person, despite earning 3 times as much, is sliding backward every single month. The salary number barely matters if the gap doesn't exist. That single idea quietly overturns the belief most people build their entire financial life around, that the answer is always simply to earn more. Earning more helps, but only if the gap survives the raise. And for most people, it doesn't, because spending rises to swallow the new income almost the moment it arrives. A bigger shovel is useless if the hole keeps getting deeper at the same speed. The people who win this game are the ones who widen the gap and then defend it at every income level they reach. The second factor is time. Specifically, how early you start creating that gap and putting the difference to work. And this is where most people genuinely underestimate what's possible. $1,000 invested at age 25, earning a normal long-run market return of around 7%, becomes close to $15,000 by 65. The same $1,000 invested at 45 becomes a little under $4,000 by the same age. Same money, same market. The only difference is 20 extra years of compounding, and the result is nearly 4 times larger. That isn't magic. That's compound interest. It's one of the most powerful forces in personal finance, and one of the least understood. We'll come back to it again and again, because almost everything important about money eventually traces back to it. The third factor is habits. Not discipline in the punishing white-knuckle sense. Automatic systems that quietly make the right financial behavior the path of least resistance, so you don't have to win an argument with yourself every time you get paid. Think of someone named Elena. Elena isn't unusually disciplined. She simply set one automatic transfer on the day she gets paid, before the money ever feels like hers to spend. She never has to summon willpower at the end of a long, tired day, because the decision was already made on a calm morning months ago. That single piece of architecture quietly outperforms years of good intentions. And here's why all of this is worth your attention in the first place. Financial understanding isn't abstract. It's the difference between a surprise medical bill being a stressful afternoon and that same bill being the thing that unravels your entire year. It's whether a layoff is a frightening crisis or a quiet, manageable gap. It's whether you stay in a job that's slowly hurting you because you can't afford to leave, or walk away because you built the margin to choose. That is what we're actually protecting here. We'll get into all three of these in depth with real numbers and real examples in the videos to come. Now, I know what some of you are already thinking because I've heard it 100 times. I'm just bad at math, or it's too late for me, or I don't earn enough for any of this to matter. Let me take those one at a time, because every one of them is a quiet trap. You don't need to be good at math. The arithmetic that actually runs your financial life is addition, subtraction, and a little patience. The calculator on your phone handles everything else. What matters is understanding the ideas, and ideas are something anyone can learn. It is almost never too late. The best time to start was years ago, of course. The second best time is the day you finally understand the system, and that day can be today. Compounding rewards starting early, but it never stops rewarding starting at all. And if you feel you don't earn enough, that's often the exact situation where understanding this matters most. When there's no margin for error, every dollar has to be placed deliberately. The person with a modest income and a clear system frequently ends up far ahead of the person with a large income and no system at all. Here's what Wealthlings is going to cover, so you know exactly what you're signing up for. We're going to start with the fundamentals, the things that should have been taught in school. How money actually works, how banks work, how interest works on both sides, how a budget really functions, not as a punishment for spending, but as a system for telling your money where to go before someone else decides for you. Then we'll move into building, saving, investing, the real difference between an asset and a liability. Why the habits of people who quietly build wealth look almost nothing like what most people imagine wealthy people do. We'll spend real time on the psychology, because money is almost never purely a math problem. It's an emotional one. The way you were raised to think about it, the social pressure to keep up, the anxiety that drives the worst decisions at the worst moments, all of it has a logic. And once you can see the logic, you can interrupt it. And we'll look at the actual math, not the intimidating kind, the kind that makes things suddenly obvious. The numbers that show you exactly what a decision costs you over time and exactly what a different decision would have gained. No hustle culture, no shame about where you're starting from, no pretending any of this is effortless. Just clear, honest, practical information built for people who are finally ready to understand how money actually works. Picture yourself 5 years from now. In one version of that future, money still feels like weather, something that happens to you, unpredictable, faintly threatening, never quite within your control. In another version, it feels like a system you understand. You still have problems, because everyone does, but they're problems you can see coming and plan around. The difference between those two futures isn't a winning lottery ticket. It's a series of small, learnable decisions, starting now. If you've watched this far, you already know something important about yourself. You're not someone who's waiting for things to simply work out on their own. You're someone who wants to understand the system so you can actually navigate it. That's the only real starting point there is. So subscribe to Wealthlings. In the next video, we're going into something almost everyone gets wrong: how money actually works, and why the version most people quietly believe ends up costing them for decades. I'll see you there.